Welcome to video B, subtraction. Now, with addition, when you have something and you have another thing and you put it together, you are adding. With subtraction, it's the opposite. You have something and then you're taking something away, and you either want to know how much you're taking away or how much is left. There are many words that mean subtraction: difference, less than, minus, smaller than, lose, fewer than, decrease, diminish, lower. These are words that mean subtraction, and the sign for subtraction is a little minus sign. It's like a little dash. Now let's take a look for a moment on the board. Here we have a subtraction problem, and this is the sign for subtraction. We have 8 is called the minuend, and C is called the subtrahend, and the answer is the difference. And when you're looking at a problem like this, you can think of many things. You can say, how many numbers do you need to add to 6 to make 8? How many numbers do you need to add to 6 to make 8? Well, you need to add 2. Or you could say 8 take away 6 is 2. Or you could say 8 minus 6 is 2. And the answer is called the difference. So this is subtraction. Let's take a look at another one. Here we have 10 apples. Think about it. We have 10 apples. And then we decide to eat 4 of them. Okay? And how many apples do we have left? We have 6 apples left. So take a look. 10 minus 4 is 6. 10 minus 4, or 10 take away 4, 6 apples. This is subtraction. Again, you could ask yourself, how much do you have to add to 4 to make 10? And in fact, when we do subtraction, if you want to check the answer to make sure you are correct, you can add. You can say 4 plus 6 is 10. And isn't 10 equal to 10? This is called checking. So let's do a few more problems in subtraction. Let's take a look at this problem on the board. Here we have 5 pears, and we decide to eat 2 of them. How many pears do we have left? That's 5 pears, and we eat 2 of them. That means we have 3 pears left. So 3 is the difference, 3 pears. 5 minus 2 is 3. And let's do another one. Here we have 4 papers in my book, and I decide to write on one of them. How many papers do I have left that are not written on? Well, 4 minus 1 is 3. There are 3 papers. And let's say that in my classroom we have 11 computers, and 4 of them are broken. How many computers will I have left? Well, that's 11 minus 4 is 7. 7 computers. And again, 4 plus 7 would equal 11. So that's checking them. Okay, let's take a look at some larger numbers. Are you getting the idea? We're doing the opposite of addition. We're doing subtraction. Let's take a look. Let's say that there are 44 strawberries in the basket, and 22 of them are not ripe. How many strawberries are ripe? So the answer is going to be in strawberries. We have to remember to label our answer. Now, what we're going to do with this is the same as we did in addition, column by column, step by step. We're going to take this column first. 4 minus 2 is 2. And again, 4 minus 2 is 2. How many strawberries do we have? 22 that are not ripe, or excuse me, that are ripe. So here we go. We have 22, and 22 is 44. Here I am. I'm checking through addition. Column by column, step by step. Let's do another problem. Let's say that there are 326 dogs in the city, and 125 of those dogs have dog collars. How many don't? We're subtracting. We know the whole total amount. We want to find out how many dogs don't have dog collars. So what are we going to do? We're going to subtract column by column and step by step. 6 minus 5 is 1. 2 minus 2 is 0. And 3 minus 1 is 2. What did I do? Column by column. 6 minus 5 is 1, all in a column. 2 minus 2 is 0. 3 minus 1 is 2. So what's the answer? 201 dogs don't have columns. Don't have collars. Now, let's say that in the same city there are 4,976 cats, and 3,241 cats don't like fish. Oh, excuse me, let's say that they like fish. How many don't like fish? We're going to subtract. We want to find out how many cats don't like fish. What are we going to do? Column by column, step by step. 6 minus 1 is 5. 7 minus 4 is 3. 9 minus 2 is 7. 4 minus 3 is 1. So how many cats don't like fish? 1,735 cats. Remember, you can always check your answer by adding. How do we add? All we do is take these two numbers. We say 5 and 1 is 6. 4 plus 3 is 7. 2 plus 7 is 9. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4,976 checks out with 4,976. Okay, let's subtract some larger numbers. In the next problem, there are 896,592 children in this same city where the cats are, and out of all those children, 402,371 children are ready for preschool. How many are not ready? What are we going to do? We're going to subtract. We have the total number, and now we have a number of how many children are ready. We want to find out how many children are not ready. What are we going to do? Step by step, column by column. 2 minus 1 is 1. 9 minus 7 is 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. 9 minus 0, that's 0. And 8 minus 4 is 4. So how many, 9 minus 0 is not 0. 9 minus 0 is 9. So how many children are not ready for school? 494,221 children are not ready. And what if I won the lottery? How about I win the lottery and I decide to donate some of my money for student scholarship? This is another type of subtraction problem. I have this whole big amount of money and I want to give some away and I want to know how much is left. Subtraction. Let's say I won $5,060,796. Yes? And I decide to give away $1,230,616 for student scholarships, and I want to know how much is left. Step by step, column by column. 6 minus 6 is 0. 9 minus 1 is 8. 7 minus 6 is 1. 0 from 0 is 0. 5 minus 3 is 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. And 5 minus 1 is 4. How much money would be left? $4,420,180. So I want you to get some practice with subtraction. I want you to go to the basic math workbook, and I want you to do part 1, pages 30 to 33, and then do part 2, pages 42 to 45. Remember to check your answers at the back of the chapter, and then come on back for the next part. We're going to be talking about borrowing. Welcome back to part 2 of Video B, Subtraction. Today we're going to be looking at something called borrowing. But with this kind of borrowing, you don't have to give anything back. Now, take a look at the problem on the board. There are 42 nails in the bucket. 18 of them are bent. How many nails are not bent? This is a subtraction problem. The whole amount of nails is in the bucket. There are 18 that are bent. We want to know how many are not. What are we going to do? We're going to subtract, and we're going to do it column by column and step by step. But take a look. We look at the first column, and it says 2 minus 8. If you have 2 and you want to take away 8, can you do it? No. If you have $2 and you want to spend $8 of that money, you can't do it. So we have 2 minus 8. It's kind of impossible unless you borrow. How do you borrow? You look at the next column, and here's the 4. What we're going to do is we're going to borrow 1 from the 4, and we're going to make it a 3. And then that 1 that we're bringing, that 10, that 110, we're going to put it right here. So the 2 becomes 12. So we borrowed 1 from the 4. This is the tens column. What we're really borrowing is 10. And we're going to put it right here. We borrow 1 from the 4, make it a 3, and make this 12. And 12 minus 8 is 4. And that's where I put my answer to that first column of figures. 3 minus 1 is 2. So how many nails do we have? 24 nails that are not bent. 42 minus 18 is 24. Let's try it again. Here we have 86 hats in the theater department, and 78 of them are in good shape. How many are not in such great shape? What am I going to do? I'm going to subtract, column by column. 6 minus 8. Think about it. If you have $6, can you take away 8? No. If you have 6 hats, can you take away 8? No. We need to borrow. So, where are we going to borrow? We're going to look at the number right next to the 6. That's an 8. We're going to borrow from the 8. We're going to make it a 7. And then the 10 that I borrow, we're going to put over here to make the 6 16. Remember, this is the ones column and this is the tens column. I borrow from the 8, I make it a 7, and I make the 6 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. 7 minus 7 is 0. Do I need to put a 0 here? No, you don't need to put a 0 there. That would just be saving a place. How many hats? 8 hats need to be repaired. So 86 minus 78 is 8. Let's take a look at another one. Here we have 588 books in the local library, and only 9 of them are about sports. So how many books are not about sports? What are we going to do? Step by step, column by column. 8 minus 9 doesn't go. So I borrow from my 8, I make it a 7, and I make this 18. 18 minus 9 I can do. 18 minus 9 is 9. 7 minus 0 is 7. And 5 minus 0 is 5. That's 579 books. Can I check it? Sure. I add my 9 to 579, and I will get 588. Here's another problem. We have $708 in the bank, and we spend $92. If we spend $92, how much is left? 8 minus 2, we can do that, huh? Take away, we have 8, we take away 2, we end up with $6. But 0 minus 9 we cannot do. So I borrow from my 7, I make it a 6, and I make this a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. 6 minus 0 is 6. What's my answer? $616. How do you check the answer? You add. We're going to add 92 and 616. 6 plus 2 is 8. 9 plus 1 is 10. I put down my 0. I carry my 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. $708 equals $708. Okay, let's do another. Let's say that we have 431 fish in the pond, and 266 of them are goldfish. How many are not goldfish? What am I going to do? Subtract. How am I going to subtract? I'm going to end up borrowing. You take a look. Because 1, take away 6 doesn't work. You can't. If you have 1, you want to take away 6, it's not going to work. You need to borrow from the 3, make it a 2, and make this 11. 11 minus 6 is 5. 2 minus 6, that doesn't work either. So what am I going to do? I'm going to borrow mine from my 4. I'm going to make this a 3, and I'm going to make this 2 a 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. How many fish are not goldfish? 165. How do I check the answer? I add 266, 165. 5 and 6 is 11. 6 and 6 is 12, and 1 is 13. 2 and 1 is 3. 1 is 4. 431. 431. Now, let's say that in the city where I'm from, there are 4,447 buildings, very tall buildings. And out of that number, 1,768 need some form of construction. How many buildings don't need some form of construction? Subtraction problem. I have the whole amount and I'm taking something, or there are so many that need construction. I want to know how many don't. So how many are left? It's that kind of problem. Subtraction. What am I going to do? Subtract. Column by column, step by step. 7 minus 8 doesn't go. So I borrow from my 4, I make it a 3, and I make this 17. 17 minus 8 is 9. 3 minus 6 doesn't go. I need to borrow again. I borrow from my 4, make it a 3, and make this 13. 13 minus 6 is 7. 3 minus 7 doesn't go. If I have 3, I can't take away 7. I borrow from my 4, make it a 3, and make this 13. 13 minus 7 is 6. 3 minus 1 is 2. What's the answer? 2,679 buildings. How do I check the answer? I add this, and I will come up with 4,447 buildings. Now, when you see numbers that are listed in a problem, or actually when you see numbers that are written out in a problem horizontally, what do you do? For instance, let's say that here is the problem, 6,208. There are 6,208 students, and 329 of them don't feel well. And let's say it's written like this, horizontally. What I do is I make it vertical. I put this number underneath, and then I can subtract. I say 8 minus 9 doesn't go. So I borrow from my 0, but there's nothing there. It's a 0. I can't borrow from a 0. Right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to look at my 2. I'm going to look at the next number over. I'm going to look at the 2. I'm going to cross it out, make it a 1. And I'm going to make this 0 a 10. But I still need to do this problem over here. So what I'm going to do is borrow from the 10, make it a 9, and make this 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. 9 minus 2 is 7. 1 minus 3, it doesn't go. So I need to borrow from my 6, make it a 5, and make this 11. 11 minus 3 goes 8. And then 5 minus 0 is 5. And what is my answer? 5,879 students. What did I do? I did it step by step, column by column. Here I couldn't borrow, so I went to the next column to borrow. Let's try another subtraction problem with zeros. Let's say that we have $8,006 in the bank, and we decide that we're going to spend $498. How much money do we have left? What I have to do is I have to subtract. 6 minus 8 doesn't go. So I want to borrow from my 0, but that's 0. That's nothing. I can't borrow anything, and I can't borrow anything from this 0 either. So I go all the way to my 8. I cross out my 8. I make it a 7. Then I make this 0 a 10. I cross that out, and I make it a 9. And then I make this a 10. I cross that out. I make it a 9. And I put I make the 6 into a 16. I know that sounds a little confusing, so I'm going to go over it one more time. And for those of you who know the trick already, if you know the trick already, you can use it. If you don't know the trick, wait a little while. But there is a trick. When you borrow from the 8, make it a 7, you can just cross this out, make it a 9, cross it out, make it a 9, and put the 16 here. That's the shortcut. For those of you who still are getting ready to learn this, take it step by step. You borrow from the 8, make it a 7, this becomes a 10. Then I borrow from the 10, make it a 9, and this becomes a 10. Then I borrow from the 10, make it a 9, and this becomes 16. Can I subtract now? Sure I can. 16 minus 8 is 8. 9 minus 9 is 0. 9 minus 4 is 5. 7 minus 0 is 7. So $7,508. Okay, let's do one more with zeros. Let's see what we can do. Here we have $9,002, and we're going to take away $1,324. What am I going to do? 2 minus 4 doesn't go. So guess what? I need to borrow, but these are zeros. So I'm going to go all the way over to my 9. I'm going to make it an 8. I'm going to make this a 10, then make it a 9, make this a 10, then make it a 9, make that a 12. And for those of you who know the shortcut, you can just forget about making them 10s and just make them 9s. 12 minus 4 is 8. 9 minus 2 is 7. 9 minus 3 is 6. 8 minus 1 is 7. How much money do we have left? $7,678. Okay. Let's take a look at yet another problem. Sometimes when they give you a problem, they give it to you horizontally. $80.32 minus $28.76, and they want to know how much that equals. Now here, in this kind of a problem, there are two things you need to look at. One is we're going to change it from horizontal to vertical. So instead of putting this here, I'm going to put it like this, $28.76. Remembering from the addition video that whenever we have to add or subtract with decimals, we need to line up the decimal points. So we're going to put the decimal points in a line. To add and subtract decimals, all you have to do is put the decimal points in a line. 2 minus 6 doesn't go. So what do? I borrow from my 3, make it a 2, and make this 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. 2 minus 7 doesn't go. And I can't borrow from the 0. So I'm going to go over to the 8. I'm going to make it a 7. And make this a 10. Make it a 9. Make this 12. 12 minus 7 goes 5 times. 9 minus 8 goes once. 7 minus 2 is 5. So what's my answer? It's $51.56. Okay, now, one of the places where you really see a lot of problems with decimals and money is when you balance your checkbook. Now, for some people, that's kind of a difficult thing to do. So let's take a look at checkbook balancing. Let's say that in the bank, we had $247.32. That's our balance. And then we decide to write a check to the gas and electric company for $62.15. And then we make some money and we add $282.06. That's our deposit. And then we need to pay the phone company. And so we write a check for $38.12. Now, there are two ways to do this. One way is you can take your negative numbers, the checks that you wrote, and you can add them up. $62.15 and $38.12, if you add it up, becomes $100.27. And then you're going to add your deposits. $247.32, $282.06 added up becomes $529.38. And then what you need to do is you need to subtract the $100.27 from the total deposits of $529.38. And what's the answer? Well, your checkbook would read $429.11. Another way that you could do it, some people like to do it this way, is they take a look at the first number, what they have in the bank, their balance, $247.32. Then they subtract the check that they wrote for $62.15, and then they add the deposit for $282.06, and then they subtract the last check of $38.12. Whichever way is easiest for you. Just remembering to keep your decimal places in a line whenever you add and subtract decimals. Now, I'd like you to get some practice with subtracting. Please do part 1, pages 34 to 41, and also do part 2, that's pages 46 to 53, and you can check your answers in the back of the chapter. And then also you could do test 1, that's page 54, and test 2, that's page 55. And remember, come on back for video C. Now that you know how to add and subtract, now we're going to be learning our multiplication tables. So see you for video C, the multiplication tables.